Qigong, as I said before, it's a way of getting out of Tai Chi the things you should be getting out of it before you've actually learnt the stuff. It's a simple stance. It's sometimes called three-circle standing Zen because we make three circles. We make a circle with our feet, a circle with our arms, and a smaller circle with our palms. The feet are scrunched under. See how the toes are just lightly scrunched under. Not so much so that it makes your feet go, your toes go white like that, but just enough scrunched under. What this does is it drags yang energy down to a point called the bubbling well point on the bottom of your foot, just here. This is kidney 1 point, just between the two mouths. Everything we're told in electricity, of course, that like poles detract while unlike poles attract each other. And so in scrunching our toes under, we make that kidney 1 point relatively yin rather, to the outsides of the feet, which are yang. And so then the yang energy is dragged down to the bubbling well point, because that's the point where the energy is said to spring from. But it must first of all, of course, come from the dantian down to kidney 1 point, and then it comes through the body in order to do things. This is this working, what's called working energy. I mean, it happens bang in an instant, just like that, of course. But that's the reason we have the toes scrunched under. Now you bend your knees. I'll turn sideways so you can see exactly how not to do it. You bend your knees straight down, not like this. See how I'm bending backwards? It's always good to have a mirror at the side of you so that you can make certain that you're not pushing forward into your knees. That's what most people too would do for some strange reason. When they bend their knees, they tend to go down like this. See how the back is, even if it's just a little bit like that, it's not good. You must imagine there's a seat just under your buttocks here, and you literally just hold this position and sit straight down. Now see how the back is now vertical. See how the buttocks are naturally tucked under. They're not tucked under like this. They're just tucked. See now, standing I have a normal S-shaped back. That's normal. That takes the bumps and grinds of the day. But when you bend your knees, see how the buttocks just tuck under naturally. They're rounded. In other words, there's no hollow in your back here. That's important. If you can't get rid of the hollow, lie on the ground, raise your feet up, and see if you can put your hand under the small of your back. You shouldn't be able to. There are a number of different classics that we must follow here. All we're left with in the Chinese martial arts, healing arts, are a bunch of old classic sayings. One of them is we must round the shoulders. So the shoulders must never be up. You must be really constant in the beginning, especially in your Tai Chi training, that the shoulders, when you raise your hands, for instance, aren't coming up when you raise your hands. They're simply staying there when you raise your hands. It's the same for Qigong. The shoulders are simply rounded. The chest is said to be concave, naturally concave. In other words, we're not standing like a soldier, putting out the chest and dragging the shoulders back. The tongue must be resting gently on the hard palate, like you're saying L. The tongue's just touching, the tip of the tongue is just gently touching the hard palate. That's a natural position to be in. When you breathe in, this is the important part. Don't breathe like this. Do not breathe like this. See how my chest is raised up? For some strange reason, women seem to have a big problem with this. Men seem to grasp it fairly readily, but women, they seem to have a problem, mainly because of the tension in their upper body, I should imagine. However, you watch my chest, it will not move. Just this lower abdomen area here will come out. I'll over-exaggerate it just so that you can see the movement. And then on the out-breath, you see there is no reason whatsoever to raise the chest. I can breathe in fully here. Raising the chest drags no more air in than what I already had when this area here was stuck out. It comes from here. This is where your diaphragm is, just here. When you breathe in, the muscles pull the diaphragm down, sucking in air through your windpipe, and so filling up this area here. That's where the bulk of your lung is. The lung ends up here, but it's just a tiny little bit of lung up there, so there's no reason to inflate that area. It's just this area here, but don't force it. You mustn't force it. If you find you're getting a headache or something, that means you're creating tension with your breathing. You're forcing it. It's just I'll just do it naturally without my hands up so you can see my stomach moving. That was one in and one out breath. Now, you raise your hands simply from this position here. You just raise them up in front exactly like you're holding on to a big tree. Out from your body, not bent in too close to your body, away from your body. The chin is lightly pulled in. Now don't pull in the chin like this. That's bending your neck, that's all. But if I extend my chin, see, that's wrong. Now watch. That's right. But don't pull it in so that you're creating tension in your neck, of course. It's just pulled in lightly. That tends to straighten the backbone up. See how the fingers are lightly apart. Not closed, not stretched. They're just naturally apart. See how the fingers are sort of layered, one on top of the other. Not all even like this. It's called the beautiful hand, or the Dimmak claw in Tai Chi terms. There's one line of skin between the thumb and the forefinger. Now notice if I move my hand like this, there'll be a lot of lines of skin. If I move it like that, also a lot of lines of skin. If I just move it so there's one straight line of skin between my thumb and forefinger, that activates a point here called the dragon mouth point, or colon 4. The Chinese say it brings yang energy into your palm. It brings rather yin and yang energy into your palm. It brings the circle into your palm. So we have 3 circles, one created with your feet, one created with your arms, and one created with your palms. Your hands are about lower neck or upper chest height. And you simply relax so much that you're only using the exact amount of muscle necessary to simply hold you in this position. Now do not close the eyes. This is a martial arts meditation. You want awareness. If you wish to close your eyes, you should only close them so that there's just a slither of light coming through. The gaze should be straight ahead. The classics say that the eyes should look straight ahead. There is a straight line, vertical line between your knees and your second toe. That's the correct position for the knees. If you bend down too much, you're going to do damage to your knees. If you don't go down enough, you won't get enough fire built up in the dantian in order to cause this activation of energy. Or rather, what we're trying to do here is to firstly relax the meridians, get rid of any tension in your meridians, your 12 main meridians and 8 extra ones, so that your qi will first of all be able to flow freely through those meridians. All Westerners usually have some form of Western tension just through our 20th century living. And so this stance takes away this tension so that your energy will flow freely throughout your meridians. But you must have your knees down there in line with your toes. There's a parallax error, of course, because I'm looking down this way at my feet. So if I put them in line with my toes, then it's usually not down far enough. So get someone to look at you, and if you bob your knees down correctly with a straight line between your toe, put a straight edge on your front toe, and put it up, straight up, and then put your knee on it so that they're both vertical then. They're both directly over top of each other. And you'll see that if I look now, I'll see that my knee is actually ½ an inch over my toe. It's not really, because there's a parallax error, you see. But be very careful. Most people, while standing in this position, they find it very difficult. They find it rather strenuous after a short while. And so they slowly start to stand up. And by the time they're finished, they're almost straight-legged. And they're saying, well, nothing's happening. I'm not getting any shakes. It's because the knees aren't bent down low enough. But don't bend them down too low. So I've got my knees in line with my toes. My back is vertical to the ground. My bum is just tucked under gently. There's no sway in my lower back. Hold my hands up. The breathing is all done in and out the nose, and it's called a natural breath. Later on, at a much advanced stage, we get onto different types of breathing patterns, but right from the beginning, we must use a natural breath. Simply when you breathe in, the balloon fills up. When you breathe out, you exhale, the balloon deflates. Now, all you have to do here is to simply stand here. The ideal, of course, is to think on absolutely nothing. Be totally aware of everything that's happening around you, but think about nothing. Now, that's probably going to be the hardest thing of all to do whilst you're standing here for a quarter of an hour, and that's the minimum amount of time you should be standing for. I'll give you the technical details first. You stand like this for 10 minutes. Then you very slowly simply lower your... Oh, by the way, there's a fist distance under each arm. This is called a qua, or a bridge. There's a qua under here as well, so that's open. This is open, never standing like that. The chi will be impeded. So you open your qua. Then you lower your hands down to simply a lower position, to about here, down to the dantian. The dantian, by the way, there's your navel, 3 inches below your navel. That's the dantian point. That's where the chi is stored. So you drop your hands slowly down to that position, and you hold a third of your time, in total time, in that position. So if you're doing it for 15 minutes, you'll do 10 minutes up here and a further 5 minutes in this position just to finish. Now, after you've done that 5 minutes, 10 minutes and 5 minutes, on an in-breath, inhalation, you let your arms just float up to the sides very slowly on the whole of the in-breath. Bring them across in front of your body and let your hands flex as you push down slowly and slowly stand up. So you're pushing down and standing up at the same time as you exhale. The tongue remains on the hard palate all the time for this. Now, when you finish, you just totally relax your hands. Now you can let the qua come in. Just naturally relax your arms. Let your feet just slowly unfold, and you simply walk around slowly, especially if you've done a longer one, like 20 minutes or something. You can do it for as long as you wish, as long as you do 2/3 and 1/3. You just walk around slowly. The things you don't do are any fast movements, nor do you have anything in particular really cold to drink for at least 5 minutes after you've finished your Qigong. Now, I'll tell you some of the things that are likely to happen to you, although everyone experiences something different when they're practicing Qigong. You'll get the shakes. Your body will literally start to do this from the legs upwards. You'll start to shake. But you simply must hold this and do it for your quarter of an hour. Say, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm going to stand here shaking like buggery until I get my 15 minutes done. Now, depending on how sick you are to begin with, you'll get more or less shakes. But if you don't get the shakes, then there's something wrong. You're doing something wrong. You're probably not standing down, sinking down enough, because everyone must get the shakes. This is an indication of the fact that the chi is going down to the bubbling well point fine, but on the way up it's finding tension in your legs, and so it's like pum, 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 like a wave hitting a wall. So you get pum, 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 this shaking, this vibration coming throughout your whole body. After some time, after some practice of this, you should do it. The ideal times, of course, are dawn and dusk, outside, somewhere in the open, with nature. After some time, this shaking will come down to a pleasant little buzz, and after some more time of practice, the shaking will dissipate, and you'll just have a nice, faint little buzz there, and you'll find it really quite pleasant. In fact, when I teach my classes now, I find it very difficult to do my own Qigong, showing them how to do it, showing the students how to do it, simply because I like to do it so much, and I really just get into this state. And it's like you're off with the pixies. It's a meditative state. You're thinking about nothing. Now, if you find that after some time, you find your body naturally starting to rock forwards on the in-breath, and it just sits back onto your heels for the exhalation, don't worry about that. Just let it happen. You will find that don't force it, of course. Just let it happen by itself. In-breath, out-breath. You'll find that there's this pleasant little rocking happening as you're doing it. In, out. This tends to activate kidney 1 a little more than just standing there doing it, but let it happen by itself. Now there are a couple of little games we can play as well with this in order just to simply get a more abundant flow of energy happening, first of all, in what's called the upper heavenly circulation, which is from CV1 right under here, up your back, down to the middle eye point here, or the upper dantian point, breaks over your nose here, and into the roof of your mouth, just inside here, inside your upper lip. That's why the tongue is joining the two meridians up. That's the yang meridian, or the governor vessel. The tongue, the conceptor vessel starts at the base of your tongue and runs straight down the middle of your body, down to the dantian point that I mentioned earlier. So you join them up by placing your tongue onto your upper palate. That's why you do that. So you can get a complete circulation of qi throughout your body. You do normally anyway, otherwise you die. That's your life force, qi. So, but in putting the tongue up there, you create a much better flow of energy for your Qigong. It's like putting a stronger conductor there with for the electricity. So one of the games that I like to play is, only on the out-breath. You don't have to think about the in-breath. So on the out-breath, on the inhalation, you just breathe in, fill up the balloon. Now on the out-breath, imagine like there's a tub of honey being tipped over your head, and the honey is just slowly floating down the front of your body, in particular down to the dantian point. Or some people like to imagine a marble coming from the top of their head down the front, down here. It's easy to think about the back and to get some buzzing sensations happening in your back. They're called purification points when you breathe in. But when you breathe out, because the meridian is closer into your body, it's inside of your body a little more, it's more difficult to think about that particular meridian. So most people find that one won't come for a while. So that's why we think about this flow of something coming down each time. A little later on, once you get this happening, you can think about the total flow. So on your in-breath or your inhalation, you'll think of something coming from right down here, CV1, it's called in acupuncture terms, right up there, up the middle of your back, over your head, and breaking here. Coming to this point here, you'll generally feel a buzzing sensation in your third eye or your upper dantian point, breaking and then coming into your upper lip. And then on the exhalation, you imagine that force then going down to the dantian point. Then when you inhale again, you suck it down from here into CV1, then up your back, and then back down to there again. So you can just stand there thinking about that. But as I said before, the most ideal situation is to not think about anything. You simply think about nothing while you're standing here doing your Qigong. So obviously I'm talking to you at the moment. I'm thinking about things. But if I just simply think about nothing, I can still talk to you, but my voice will become very strange. It'll become very monotone because I'm aware of everything that's happening around me. And my mind is not thinking about anything. It's just my conscious mind just talking to you. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm hearing everything that's happening. It's just coming in and going out. But I'm aware of everything, but I'm not thinking about anything in particular. So I'll just stand here. Now, when you think about nothing, it's very difficult to talk, of course, because I'm thinking about nothing. And it becomes very pleasant just standing here, thinking about nothing. I can hear every little sound in the distance, but I'm not thinking about anything. So now you have your basic Qigong. You should really practice, really persevere with this, even if it gets strenuous, even if you feel, oh God, I can't stand another one of these shakes. Persevere with it. Really, I can assure you, the benefits to you will be so great, you won't imagine such great good health as I have found And as everyone that I've given this simple but difficult exercise to have found, the benefits are really, really great to your health and simply to your everyday living.